federal agency just told an entire continent to stop hiding condiment bottles in their luggage like contraband. And that single sentence should terrify every European who thought a 2-week holiday couldn't rewire a human brain. Stay right here with us, hit that like button now, and keep watching, because this story only gets stranger from here. Because that is exactly what happened. When the Transportation Security Administration issued an official notice begging European travelers to stop smuggling ranch dressing and Chick-fil-A sauce inside their carry-on bags, the internet was forced to confront an uncomfortable reality. America had not just hosted these visitors. America had quietly taken possession of their souls. What used to be an innocent 2-week sightseeing trip has quietly mutated into something closer to a covert supply run, with Europeans treating their flights home as smuggling operations for the American way of life. Suitcases are packed edge to edge with melatonin gummies, sleeping tablets, bottles of slap your mama seasoning, and scented candles, all in a desperate bid to stretch out, even by a single extra day, the free and untethered feeling they discovered on the other side of the Atlantic. Because how exactly is someone supposed to survive walking back into a stuffy, non-air-conditioned flat in the middle of a European heatwave, greeted by bored, unbothered staff after weeks of being spoiled rotten by industrial-strength air conditioning, bottomless refills, and hospitality so sincere it left grown adults in tears? Come with us as we wander past wide-open boulevards, warehouse-sized supermarkets, and tables groaning under the weight of food, to understand exactly why Europeans, once they land on American soil, can never fully come back. And there is real substance behind this. Countless European travelers, particularly the British and the Irish, step onto their flights to America already loaded with prejudice. They expect to find the same crude caricatures they have seen painted across grey, cynical news segments back home. But by the time the return flight lands, plenty of them are in tears, not from fear, but from the almost unreasonable warmth of the strangers they met on the far side of the ocean. I completely get why Americans never bother leaving the country for a holiday when they have views like this sitting right outside their front door. Honestly, why would you ever leave? It's gorgeous. We're somewhere around La Jolla, I think I've got the name right, and what a stunning stretch of coast, cruising past Seal Rock, and it might be one of the most beautiful places I have ever laid eyes on. I've been lucky enough to bring my whole family along for this. We even got lucky with the weather, because yesterday was an absolute storm, properly terrifying to drive through. But today, the sun's out and it's unbelievable. Palm trees everywhere, the sea looking incredible. I get it now. I completely understand why you'd never bother coming to the UK. There's just no need for it. It's incredible. Honestly, look at this. Unbelievable. It turns out the smug, superior prejudices carried over from the old continent have been crushed by a weapon nobody saw coming: ordinary human warmth. Back in your home country, you exist like a polite ghost. Walk into a pub in London or Dublin, and the staff treat you like part of the furniture, and somehow that coldness gets rebranded as good manners. In America, the grin from a Walmart cashier or the genuine welcome at a roadside diner completely demolishes your entire idea of what customer service is supposed to feel like. The suspicious European brain kicks in immediately. They're only being nice because they want a tip. But try explaining away a total stranger who happily burns 20 minutes of their afternoon just to walk you to the correct train platform. The true face of America has finally been shown to the whole world, and I could not be happier about it. For years, I have traveled across this incredible country. The small towns, the tight-knit communities, the food, the local diners, people who will invite a total stranger to tailgate with them before kickoff. They'll pull over to help if your car breaks down. If you're lost, they'll spend 20 minutes just making sure you find your way. This is the real America. People from different corners of the globe get fed different versions of what this country supposedly is, but look at what actually happens on the ground. The real people here are lovely. They're warm. They pull you in. If you want to dance in the middle of a street in Boston, they'll happily dance right alongside you. What has struck me most about this World Cup has nothing to do with what's happening inside the stadiums. It's everything happening outside them. Something genuinely special is unfolding around this tournament. I'm thrilled, honestly, because for the first time, it feels like people are actually seeing the America I've been describing for years. How can anyone call it an act when, in Pennsylvania, basically every single driver who passes gives you a wave? A total stranger sitting stunned on your porch. I honestly don't think I can ever go home now, because I've become best friends with every single person who's driven past this porch. My favorite thing about America today, I'm sitting here in Pennsylvania with my coffee and my Kindle, and every single car that drives by, the driver waves. Every single one. It's honestly one of the best things I've ever experienced, just sitting here, waving back, and instantly becoming friends with strangers. I think this might genuinely be the place I was always meant to end up. Because what a thing! Possibly one of the friendliest places I've ever set foot in. I don't think I can go home, because I'm best mates with every single passerby now. Poor Josh is off fishing somewhere, living his best rural life, and when he gets back, I'm going to flatly refuse to return to Alabama. It's just lovely, honestly, one of my favorite things about being here today. Even if a stranger simply notices you scanning the street, looking for somewhere to eat, they'll jump straight in to help, pointing out landmarks along the way, or straight up dragging you into their own backyard for a barbecue, even though you only learned each other's first names 5 minutes earlier. This shock hit female European travelers especially hard, curdling into something close to a genuine syndrome. Being addressed as ma'am or sir for no reason at all left them stunned. Back home, that kind of respect usually comes attached to status or money. In America, you're simply respected because you exist as a human being standing in the room. And then there's the culture of compliments, which deserves its own warning label. I swear to God, Americans give the best compliments on the planet, no contest. I walked into a church on 5th Avenue, and the security guard comes over and goes, "Oh, where'd you get that from?" And I genuinely thought he meant my jacket. I'm like, "Sorry, what?" And he goes, "The smile." And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, "Oh, thank you. It's because I'm genuinely happy right now." And he goes, "Keep doing it. It makes you even more gorgeous, I promise." Like, sure, there are creative people everywhere in the world who can dress up a compliment, instead of just saying you're pretty or whatever. But you Americans are honestly on another level. And I love it. You could be wearing a plain dress you grabbed in a rush from Target, and 3 complete strangers on the sidewalk will stop just to tell you how well it suits you. That kind of openness cracks open a feeling most Europeans have buried for years. The simple feeling of actually existing, of being seen. Even black travelers who arrived braced for prejudice have admitted America turned out to be one of the least discriminatory places they've ever visited, offering them a sense of safety and freedom they never expected. Locals light up hearing an English or Irish accent, treating it as a bridge to connect rather than ammunition for silent judgment. Hey everyone, I'm currently in Manhattan, finally heading home today after 11 days in the States. Before that, I was in Spain with the family for a week. So I've been traveling for a good while now, and honestly, looking forward to getting home, seeing my little boy, my family, getting some normal life back. But this trip has been incredible. I put up a video the other day talking about what it's been like being here and the people I've met along the way, and the response was genuinely unbelievable. People sharing stories about meeting the Tartan army out here, and others sharing that they'd lost people close to them. I was completely blown away by the response. About 99% of the comments were genuinely lovely. A handful of cynical ones too, which you expect. but that was actually the first time I'd ever posted myself talking straight into a camera. It's something I was always too scared to do. I used to watch other people do it and think, honestly, what a show-off. When really, that was just jealousy talking, because I was too afraid to ever put myself out there like that. I was using drugs daily for a long stretch of my life because I was scared of rejection, scared of responsibility. So I just avoided everything and numbed it all with whatever I could find. And today, I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to live more freely. And if you'd seen us out here on this trip, you'd never have guessed. But I haven't had a drink in almost 7 years, haven't touched a drug in that time either. Life's actually pretty good these days. But yeah, just wanted to say thank you to every American who made this trip so special, and to the Tartan Army for doing our country proud. It's been amazing. Cheers. America might carry heavy, complicated, systemic problems, but its people don't. The numbers back this up. Roughly 99% of comments left by international visitors say the kindness of ordinary Americans shocked them more than any landscape ever could. Has anyone here ever felt an actual jolt of heat just from a supermarket employee smiling at them? Or are you still clinging to the cold, detached sophistication of London? Would you rather be respectfully called sir or ignored like a ghost in your local pub back home? But hold on, warmth and compliments are only the opening move. America keeps a second, far more devastating weapon in reserve, one that directly attacks and rewires your entire palate until your home cooking suddenly tastes flat and depressing by comparison. Forget the old cliché that Americans only eat fast food. In reality, the moment European tourists land here, especially the British, their taste buds go through something close to a full baptism. America, look at what you're doing to these people. Thousands of British fans are currently in the country for the World Cup, and there are Brits openly saying they're bringing seasoning home to fix British cooking for good. America, you've single-handedly changed an entire nation. No more relying on plain salt and pepper. It's happening. Look what you've started. Thousands of Brits are seeing the light, and the whole UK is about to be baptized in seasoning. There is no turning back from this revolution, turning the polite, understated dishes of home into a string of sad, monotonous meals. Salt and pepper have lost their monopoly. The real engine of this uprising is sauce. Thick ranch dressing, rich Chick-fil-A sauce, and that Cajun condiment with the wonderfully aggressive name, Slap Your Mama, all upgraded overnight from mere food items into something closer to religious artifacts. Here's what I brought back from America. A bunch of you told me, don't bother with the full bottle of ranch. It's too heavy. Just bring the packets. And honestly, you were completely right. I grabbed the packets and I'm so excited about it. Only issue, it says to add sour cream. And you don't really get proper sour cream over here. What's the closest thing in the UK? Genuinely curious. I bet someone knows. Got some taco seasoning too, some fajita mix, a jar of enchilada sauce, a chili garlic taco seasoning, and the original version of the same brand, straight from Texas. Grab some praline pecans as well. God, so good. Look at all that sugar on them. Can't wait to try those. Then there's chamoy peach rings. I'm obsessed with chamoy. How do I even describe it? Kind of tangy, like dried fruit mixed with chili powder. Incredible on fresh fruit. Got some mild and hot hatch green chilies too. Can't wait to throw those into enchiladas or tacos. Thought about grabbing tortillas as well, but didn't in the end. Maybe next trip. You're going to laugh at this next one. I'm honestly a bit nervous to show you, but I did bring back some cucumber mint tea from here. I just really love it. It's got such a distinctive flavor. And yes, I know I drink a ton of proper British tea and love it too. Feels a bit strange bringing tea into England of all places, but we're having fun with it. And finally, the one true legend of Louisiana and the Southeast Texas coast. Technically national at this point, honestly. Slap Your Mama hot sauce, Cajun heat. Nothing beats it. And you even get to say that name out loud. This obsession grew so intense that the Transportation Security Administration had no choice but to issue an oddly urgent, almost comical warning, telling travelers to stop stuffing sauce bottles into their carry-ons and check them into hold luggage instead. When a federal agency has to intervene over a handful of condiment bottles, you know America has already rewired your taste buds beyond repair. The gap isn't only about flavor, it's about the sheer scale of generosity. In Europe, you're charged for every glass of filtered water, every miniature packet of ketchup, every portion measured out like it's rationed for the planet's sake. In America, the free refill functions like some kind of everyday miracle. A single pancake arrives large enough to feed an entire small family back home. Food, to Americans, is treated as the highest possible form of hospitality, which is, presumably, why there are more than 1 million food service establishments scattered across all 50 states. And then there's the ultimate power move, total customization. Walk into a cheesecake factory and you're handed a menu with over 250 items, thick enough to double as a copy of the federal tax code. Here, you're allowed to change or add any ingredient you like without consequence. No Italian or French chef is going to storm out of the kitchen to scold you for touching their recipe. In America, your personal taste is treated as law, and that freedom has produced some genuinely bizarre combinations. Crispy fried chicken, golden fries dunked straight into a sweet, frosty shake, or slices of pickle wedged between layers of melted cheese and burger patty. Europeans initially called it an abomination, but after a single bite, they were quietly hooked without even realizing it. I don't know about this. Hold on, that should not work. Hot fries dunked straight into a chocolate milkshake. Well, it's technically a frosty, not quite a milkshake. It's basically a chocolate milkshake though, and that should not work. But that's actually genuinely good. That is actually really good. I'm honestly a little shocked right now, going back in for more. It's so strange that this actually works, especially if you've never tried it before. I would never in a million years have thought to combine fries with a frosty. That's actually really surprising. That's something pretty special. Genuinely special. Bloody brilliant. The United States doesn't operate on a single national menu at all. From Texas-style smoked barbecue to Boston's thick crust pizza, each state functions like its own separate culinary kingdom, ready to spoil your taste buds all over again. Between owning a luxury car in London or getting unlimited free ranch refills for life in America, which would you honestly pick? Has anyone here ever nearly gotten flagged by airport security for stuffing an unreasonable number of Chick-fil-A sauce bottles into a suitcase as gifts for friends back home? Eating and drinking well like that starts to feel like ancient history once you're back. But with your stomach that full, how are you supposed to survive a scorching European summer stripped of the most basic modern comforts? Europe likes to pride itself on history, ancient castles, and a sustainable, slower way of living. But honestly, that sustainability sometimes just means a serious shortage of basic amenities. Plenty of British and Irish travellers coming back from the States admitted they entered a genuine state of withdrawal, craving nothing more complicated than crushed ice and air conditioning. In America, powerful units blast freezing air into every corner, and automatic ice machines are treated as the bare minimum standard of living. Ask for water, and it will arrive genuinely ice cold. Back in Europe, in the middle of a heat wave, someone will gently suggest cracking a window for a breeze or hand you lukewarm water with 2 sad, tiny ice cubes floating in it. The contrast produces something close to actual thermal shock, turning historic London flats into cramped saunas overnight. In America, comfort operates like an entire ecosystem built to enable laziness as efficiently as possible. In America, if you can get it done without ever leaving your car, you don't leave your car. In Europe, you park somewhere and walk everywhere from there. After the World Cup wraps up, plenty of these travellers will go home, park the car, and instinctively wish they could just stay inside it. Because once you've gotten used to drive-through living, it's genuinely hard to unlearn. Let's talk drive-through culture properly. In the US, you can grab coffee, pick up food, withdraw cash, or even go through certain medical procedures without ever setting a foot outside your car. Back in Europe, you're stuck walking, getting shoved around on the subway, or circling endlessly for a cramped parking spot just to grab a loaf of bread. Even the most basic bodily needs are treated with reverence in America, with clean, free restrooms available at practically every gas station and convenience store along the highway. No coins needed, no gates, no punishing entry code the way Europe often charges you for the privilege of your own misery. If you're feeling low, Americans will simply say, "Let's go to Target, grab an iced coffee, push a shopping cart down those enormous aisles, and watch the sadness melt away." Or, if you want to go further, step inside a Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop. These aren't glorified sporting goods stores, they're cathedral-sized temples complete with fish ponds and stuffed animals taller than the building itself, where you can genuinely lose an entire day wandering like it's a museum. And so, a quiet reverse migration of American comfort goods began, with European luggage always somehow weighing more on the way out than it did coming in. They raided the shelves for Crest whitening strips, apparently far more effective than anything permitted under EU standards. They stuffed suitcases with boxes of melatonin gummies for better sleep, K-cup coffee machines, and custom-embroidered caps with their own names stitched on in about 20 minutes flat at the mall. All of it is really just a desperate attempt to hold on to that instant, click and you're there lifestyle once they're dumped back into the slower pace of home. America has quietly redefined what a pleasant life even means, and with 84% of American adults saying that going out to enjoy some kind of service is the best way to unwind, convenience has basically become its own religion. Are you team classic European crack the window for a breeze, or team practical American set the thermostat to 16 degrees and bury yourself under a duvet? Has anyone here ever had to check an entire spare suitcase purely to fit in melatonin gummies and teeth whitening strips? That's just comfort within four walls, though. Once America steps outside and looks around at the wider world, it's the sheer scale of the place that really shrinks proud Europeans down into tiny, lost inhabitants of a giant land. If you've ever felt proud of Europe's winding, centuries-old roads, brace yourself for a reality check the moment you land on American soil. Here, the entire concept of space gets bent completely out of shape. You might be stunned to learn the whole of the United Kingdom could fit inside a single American state the size of Oregon. Stand next to a Ford F350 or a Ram 3500 on the road, and you'll understand exactly how it feels to be one of the tiny extras in a science fiction film. The wheels on these things sit as high as an adult's waist. You're not driving a car at that point. You're piloting a spacecraft, powered by a 6.7-litre turbo diesel engine, one so powerful it's technically illegal to operate on plenty of narrow European streets. Some women who used to dream of owning an elegant Range Rover found themselves, after a single week in America, craving a hulking pickup truck instead, one with an interior as plush as a 5-star hotel suite. The scale of the infrastructure hits just as hard. Imagine driving for 4 straight hours, watching the scenery completely transform, and still not having crossed into a different state, let alone a different country. That's something the average European brain, wired to expect a new country after an hour behind the wheel, can barely process. Even ordinary landmarks turn into an obsession. Walmart or Bass Pro Shops stop being mere stores and become sprawling museums, complete with fish ponds and stuffed wildlife, where you can genuinely lose yourself for hours, just hunting for a tube of toothpaste. A regular American high school stadium can look more impressive than a professional stadium back in London. And when confronted with nature on the scale of the Grand Canyon or the vast lakes of Michigan, people genuinely freeze up, mistaking them for the ocean, simply because they can't see across to the other side. If someone handed you the keys to an F350, would you use it to commute to work, or purely to intimidate your neighbors? And has anyone here ever gotten so thoroughly lost inside an American supermarket that you seriously considered calling for backup. These massive machines still pale in comparison to the scale of the frenzy Americans unleash when celebrating their own country's birthday. In 2026, the United States turns 250 years old. If you think you've witnessed proper national celebrations before, you clearly haven't seen how Americans do it. This is a party visible from orbit. Patriotism here isn't some stiff, obligatory speech. It's pure, unfiltered instinct. In France or Germany, draping flags across every surface might be read as performative theatre. In America, from diggers and swimsuits down to pastries, absolutely everything gets set ablaze in the colours of the flag, and nobody feels the slightest bit embarrassed about it. It becomes a family ritual, with every single household essentially operating as its own independent fireworks division, turning the night sky into a dazzling war zone. The sheer intensity of the fireworks display leaves visitors muttering that they didn't realize fireworks could give a person ADHD just from watching. The centerpiece of the 4th of July is the Great Sausage Olympics, with roughly 150 million hot dogs consumed in a single day, and competitive eaters putting away as many as 62 of them in 10 minutes flat. If you're a total stranger wandering by, don't be shocked to find yourself welcomed straight into a backyard barbecue hosted by people who've never met you before. Their generosity turns simply crashing the party into a strangely moving moment of connection. And then, the instant the national anthem starts playing, every conversation stops dead. Every hat comes off. A unity so total, it gives even an outsider goosebumps. Thousands of boats line up on the lake, forming makeshift islands, while entire families haul folding chairs down to the sidewalk from 6 in the morning, purely to reserve a decent view of the parade. Then, on the morning of the 5th, the entire country plunges into a frenzied clearance sale mode. Everything from mattresses to refrigerators discounted, capping off an unforgettable trip. Would you ever attempt 62 hot dogs in 10 minutes just to become a national hero in the eyes of your American friends? If your neighbor's fireworks display outshines yours, would you call the police or quietly plan to buy bigger ones next year? But behind all that dazzling spectacle and those endless boulevards, a much bleaker reality is waiting the moment you pack your bags and head for the airport. Because the real nightmare doesn't hit while you're still in America. It starts the instant the plane's wheels touch down at Gatwick or Stansted. Welcome back to reality. The second you step off that aircraft, you'll plunge straight back into the grey, quietly chaotic atmosphere that defines Europe. Summer in England or Ireland basically looks like a bad day in America, except the rain isn't the dramatic, powerful downpour you'd get in Florida. It's a damp, grey, miserable fog that just refuses to lift for days at a time. But the weather shock is nothing compared to the silence. Following a habit picked up in America, you smile and try to strike up a conversation with the stranger next to you on the London Underground. The result? They stare back at you with wary, suspicious eyes, as if you were some kind of addict or predator. That warm friendliness you'd gotten used to has completely evaporated, replaced by grumpy, cold faces glued to their phone screens.